The Baseball Hall of Fame just announced their newest inductees tonight. We're going to talk all about Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner, the former New York Met, who all got the call to the Hall. We're going to talk about how things are being voted for and what changes we need to make. Hi, everybody. My name is Craig. Welcome to Metropolitans. This is YouTube's smallest New York Mets, Miami Dolphins, and Miami Hurricanes channel. We appreciate you being here with us, and we're going to talk all about it here. We're going to share the screen a little bit for those of you who have not seen the full totals. There are some other New York Mets that are in play who will remain on the ballot, but I'm going to just go ahead and share the screen here really quick. Let's see. We want that one. That's the screen we want right now. So you can see this. Percentage of the vote, you needed to get 75% of the vote to be elected. Ichiro Suzuki got 99.7, 393 of the 394 ballots cast had Ichiro Suzuki on them. We're going to talk more about that in just a little bit here. CC Sabathia had 342 votes for 86.8%. Excuse me. And Billy Wagner also got in 82.5%. On the outside looking in, but moving up even closer, we have Carlos Beltran. You also have Andrew Jones. Both of them look like they. For Andrew Jones, that's especially important because he only has 2 years left on the ballot. Chase Utley moved up a lot, but the PED people, Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, they are not moving anywhere. They've kind of just stayed right in this zone. There's just a lot of people who are not going to be voting for them. Dustin Pedroia, Mark Burley, Francisco K-Rod, Rodriguez, David Wright, and Torrey Hunter. Is the layout. That is where those votes came in. Now, I don't know if there's anyone. Let's see if we can find a little bit more on full. We find a full vote total. Just see, it's always fun to see who else below this. We got votes. Ian Kinsler, and all these guys were on their first ballot here, and so most people will only get on the first ballot, and I believe you need to have like 5% on the ballot. So none of these guys will be on next year of Ian Kinsler, Russell Martin, Brian McCann, Troy Tulowitzki, Curtis Granderson, Adam Jones, Carlos Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez, Fernando. So that is where we are at with this layout. That's the full, and you can see 3 of the guys didn't get anybody voting for them, but I still think it's really cool. You know, you have to have played a certain amount of time just to even make it on the Hall of Fame ballot. So there's the full results in case anybody's wanting to see. Let's see if there's everything on the same screen. So if you want to screenshot that and have that for your future reference, you can absolutely do that. That is the final. And then you can see Billy Wagner. This was his 10th year and his last chance to get in. Andrew Jones is on his 8th. Manny Ramirez is on his 9th. So that means Manny Ramirez is either elected next year or and he'll have to go to the Old Timers Committee. Omar Vizquel, he's got the good support. He's a defensive wizard, but didn't really have the same bat that I think a lot of people would want for that. But he's so good. But you can just kind of see with the other first timers that are on here, Felix Hernandez, he'll be around. Yeah, they both made it on. Dustin Pedroia, he's going to be on for a little while, and but beyond that, there weren't a lot of guys. Now, I'm kind of curious too. Let's just look up one more thing here really quick because 26. Let me just actually go here. Let's go 2026 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. Let's see who's eligible next year. I'm just going to sort by, because all these other guys that are on here, I don't know if all these will all be the potential first ballot. You've got Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, Howie Kendricks, Nick Markakis, Hunter Pence, Gio Gonzalez, Matt Kemp, Jason Kipnis, Daniel Murphy, Rick Porcello, Matt Wieters, Jeff Samardzija, Chris Davis, Kelvin Herrera, and Edinson Volquez. Because some of these guys kind of played during like about a 5 to 10 year span where I wasn't following baseball Hall of Famers. I think you will be seeing votes for Cole Hamels, Ryan votes. I think Matt Kemp will get some votes too because I believe he was an MVP, and we can kind of just sort. Look at the WAR column, just see. Yeah. So Alex Gordon, I'm a little surprised, and Shin-Soo Choo. A couple of these guys, I'm surprised their WAR is as high as it actually is. As I'm surprised it's lower than I would have guessed. But that's kind of the breakdown for the Hall of Fame next year potential. I don't know. So there's not a lot of good surefire Hall of Famers. It's a good year for people who've been on the ballot for a long time to get in. So I would say that would bode really well for Andrew Jones next year, and maybe to see a bump for people like Omar Vizquel, Andy Pettit. You know, a lot of on the ballot for quite a few years. Maybe that it's because it's kind of seems like it might be a softer year. It might be a good year for some of them to get in, and so that's what we have for that. All right, and then another article here that was on ESPN. Which is biggest winner. Let's do this. Let's go one more. Is this the right one? Yeah, I think that's the right tab. Yep. All right. So these are just asking, other than those elected, who are some of the biggest winners. So pitchers coming behind CC Sabathia. I always forget if it's Sabathia or Sabathia. Anyway, so it seems like maybe the standard for what it takes to metrics, and then Andrew Jones still playing, not on the ballot for a couple of years. Kenley Jansen, Craig Kimbrell, with doing that, and then Carlos Beltran. So those are some of the biggest winners. And then when they talked about it, was pretty much the PED people. And kind of this interesting thing that we know that at this point, you're not really even keeping the Hall of Fame pure anymore. You're just kind of like, you might as well just throw it out there and just, hey, either all the deserving ones get in or none of them. But if you have some of them, and you might as well let everybody else get in. And yeah, and I think this Doolittle here makes a good point, is that if Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens in, you're not like, until Barry Bonds has to go first. If you're going to allow one of those, I believe Pedro Martinez is already in the Hall of Fame. I believe he's already in. Pedro Martinez Hall of Fame. Quite a few years ago. I'm just trying to find out. You can find his plaque and stuff is already up. I would assume it was like 2014. So he's I know it's crazy. Some of these guys, I'm like, wow, like they're on the Hall of Fame. I didn't even. So that's how it goes sometimes. I'm gonna close some tabs here just to get the computer running a little bit faster, hopefully. All right, hopefully that's a slightly better connection. All right, so then here's the question on Hall of Fame voting, and this is where I want you guys to chime in, whether you're watching live or on replay. Please hit that subscribe button. We are YouTube's smallest New York Mets and Miami Dolphins and Miami Hurricanes channel, talk baseball and football, professional and college here. And so, but what can we do to fix the Hall of Fame voting? I posted a short just a little while ago where I proposed two things, but I'd like to know if you agree or disagree, or if there's anything else beyond this that you want to include, or maybe there's something more that you think we should do. I think one, every vote should be made public. I don't think we should have anonymous ballots anymore. I think when you have anonymous ballots, it just gives people an opportunity to hide from standing behind what they say they truly believe. I think it'd be much better off for the Hall of Fame if they don't need to be made public right away, but at least when, like, we should have the right to know who didn't vote for Ichiro. And it's ridiculous to the point we've had so many. There's only been one unanimous Hall of Famer in baseball history. This is ridiculous. It's beyond ludicrous. And when you have a surefire shoe-in like Ichiro, who just absolutely dominated for a decade plus, he needs to be in first ballot, 100%. And there needs to be some form of accountability for people who would just make a stand. But then the other part that I mentioned too is get rid of the limit for number of people that people can vote for, especially when you're talking about guys who maybe never will have a chance. This is their only shot, especially if it's their first year on the ballot and you need the 5% to stay on the ballot or whatever. Don't put a limit on how many people that writers can vote for. Instead, make it that put as many as you feel are deserving who are eligible. And so if someone, and again, if the ballots are made public, then hopefully it would prevent people from doing ridiculous things and voting for every single player, but have some accountability. And then on the other hand, take the time to be like, okay, let's give the writers more spots for when they think that there's more deserving players. And then there's never going to be an excuse to leave a top person off the ballot just because. Give them the freedom to write in every single eligible name. Not that they should, but at least give them the freedom to do that, or as many names as they see valid. So if you're watching live or on replay, please let me know. What do you think? What do you think about how do we fix this? How do we fix the Hall of Fame voting? It looks like next year, based on that list that we saw, there's probably not going to be any first ballot. I don't see anybody on there that I would say deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So it'd be a good year for maybe Andrew Jones, Carlos Beltran, Andy Pettit, those types of players to maybe get in next year. But I would love to know what you think, and where would you go with all of this? Is there any other voting things that you would change to make Hall of Fame voting even better and more reliable? Thank you all, and have a good night.